Hello and welcome. You're watching Addis News Hour with the headline. Ethiopia economy projected to grow by 6.6%. TPLF commits massacre in northern Afar and destroys public property. Well, dear viewers, stay with the rest of our news and we'll be back in a minute. Hello, and you're watching Addis News Hour. I'm Binyam Getane with the news, and do stay tuned. Ethiopia's economy is projected to grow by 6.6% in the 2021 and 2022 fiscal year. The project is based on the country's 9 months macroeconomic performance. This came here yesterday when the Ministry of Planning presented its 9 months performance report in the presence of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Sintayo Tamirat has more.
Ethiopian economy has been through a whole lot of local challenges and external pressures. The global pandemic, severe drought, war, internal displacement, and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war have affected the country's macroeconomic progress. Despite all these entanglements, Ethiopia's economic performance over the past 9 months shows its economy is expected to grow by 6.6%.
The GDP projection based on the first 2 quarters of the 2021 and 2022 fiscal year macroeconomic performance indicates that Ethiopia's economy will grow by 6.6% by the end of the fiscal year. The world economy has so far come across various challenges. Unlike this, it's a big success that Ethiopia's economy has shown an average of 7.1% growth over the past 3 years.
The major drivers of the economic growth include agriculture and service sector, among others, according to the minister.
Agriculture is a sector showing remarkable progress. The sector proved over 336 million quintals of produce. In addition, summer season wheat harvest has also shown great improvement.
Export has also fetched about $2.9 billion during the report period, she said.
The agro sector planned to generate $1.94 billion, but it generated $2.05 billion from export, and the manufacturing has generated $380 million, while the sector planned to export goods amounting to $420 million.
Ethiopia's economy is also being challenged by high inflation, reaching a staggering 36.6% growth in May.
The National Macroeconomic Council expressed hopes that Ethiopia will ride the storm out of the current macroeconomic challenges and witness prosperity. In a statement here yesterday, the Council admitted that the pressure of unexpected natural man-made and made disasters are immense. According to the Council, various strategies have been devised to reduce the growing unemployment rate, and about 1.4 million jobs have been created in the last 9 months. Also, various steps have been taken over the past 3 years to reduce inflation to single digits. The government's efforts have been effective due to national and international factors such as COVID-19 pandemic and the Russo-Ukraine war. The Council recommended the modernization of tax systems such as property and excise tax. Various measures are being taken to increase wheat farming productivity. Council further stressed the need to immediately implement reforms made in excise tax and property tax areas so as to address the imbalance between the import and export sectors. Likewise, the terrorist TPLF clique damaged public property and committed massive plunder on inhabitants of the Berhale district in Afar state. The brutal wreckage happened during the TPLF's total control of the area over the past 3 years. Massive killings also took place during the invasion, claiming the lives of 99 innocent Afaris. Officials say almost all infrastructures of the town have been burned to crisp. Alula Takramariam compiled the following story.
Kilbeti rests with the northernmost zone in the arid state of Afar up north, a place known for its sweltering heat. The zone fell to the TPLF forces, witnessing massive plunders and damage to property. The invasion led to massive displacement of residents, over and above wreckage on infrastructures. The Barahala neighborhood of the Kilbeti Resu zone turned to be a ghost city amid the war with no power, no tap water, and not even a single resident is left in the town. Many private and public properties have been demolished for no apparent reason. Here is what the officials say about the destruction.
Here in Barhale, we have had 5 health centers and 17 health stations, of which 13 are demolished. The invasion left us empty-handed, having been robbed of all our 11 tap waters in the town. The TPLF troops broke and destroyed them. Besides, they cut off the water supply of the town, which took a fat budget. We are thus left with no clean water. Furthermore, the houses are either demolished or left in very bad shape. Most property is stolen away. With all these destructions, no one has come back home. We have thus great concern in this regard.
Osman said even religious sites were not spared during the invasion.
One mosque in the town has been burned down and left to total wreckage. Another one suffered partial damage, with some of its Quran books torn apart and gates broken.
The clique also massacred 99 innocent civilians in the Kilbeti Resu zone. ETV reporter from the area confirmed that the crew arrived in the wake of the TPLF's withdrawal. This is contrary to the TPLF's claim that it has pulled out of all of Afar.
An Ethiopian American journalist says some Democrats in the U.S. Congress have chosen to be friends with the TPLF. During an interview with the Jimmy Dore show, the Ethiopian American journalist Hermela Aragawi claimed that the attack on the northern command of the Ethiopian Defense Forces right on the U.S. Day is no coincidence. Hermela used the occasion to disclose how Western media houses change the narratives in their own favor. Tigr Sinisa brings up to the split.
Independent Ethiopian-American journalist Hermela Aragawi has had an interview with the Jimmy Dore show where she disclosed how Western media houses change the narratives in their own favor.
They started this war in November 2020 by attacking National Army Defense Forces in the largest army base in the country that was based in Tigray. And it did not work. It did not work because the Ethiopian government and the Eritrean government were ready because they know this entity. They were in power for 27 years. And what did the U.S. and mainstream media do to cover up the fact that this is what it was? They claimed genocide. So rather than owning that the Ethiopian and Eritrean government were fighting this group that attacked an army base, they said this is a genocide of all ethnic Tigrayans in the Tigray region. Again, my family hails from there.
Hermela noted that the Western media house also kept spreading lies that were against authentic data coming out every day about the conflict in the northern Ethiopia.
I left my mainstream media job because I was so frustrated with how they kept repeating the lie, even when there was data that kept unfolding that showed the opposite being true. I worked for CBS Network were saying the same thing, ABC, everybody was saying it, CNN, New York Times, they were all claiming this genocide. The Ethiopian government was trying to kill all ethnic Tigrayans. They were trying to starve them out, a humanitarian blockade. As you know, they take this humanitarian angle in mainstream media and the US government as if they're the defenders of ethnic Tigrayans, when really what they want is this group to come back into power. So what we all did as expats all over the world that have connections to Ethiopia and Eritrea and Africa, we see this disinformation campaign. It's dividing our communities in the diaspora. It's dividing people on the ground in the Horn of Africa, and it is fueling this war that has killed hundreds of thousands of people, not because the Ethiopian government is trying to take out ethnic Tigrayans, but because this terrorist group is pushing ethnic Tigrayans into this war in hopes of getting back into power for another 27 years.
She underscored that Democrats have chosen to be friends with TPLF and hated unity for unknown reasons. Then on the U.S. election day, the TPLF attacked army barracks of the Northern Command, which is no coincidence, she noted.
But then in January 2020, there was a tripartite alliance between Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Somalia. That's when the U.S. was like, this is they're getting together. They're unified. They actually want to have a say in their own destiny. And then fast forward that same year, November, election day, the U.S. election day is when the TPLF attacked that army base overnight, starting this war. So they love this guy, and as long as he wasn't unifying the Horn, but the second they realized, oh, this is somebody that is not going to be a puppet for us, that's when they started the regime change operation.
Hermela further added that U.S. is trying to sanction both Ethiopia and Eritrea for fighting terrorists.
The 3199 bill, actually, they updated it. So the head of WHO, World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom, is a member of this terrorist group, okay? Is a leading member of the Tigray People's Liberation Front. And he has been using his platform as the head to advocate for this group. So he came to DC not that long ago, rubbing elbows with Speaker Nancy Pelosi and some other folks in Congress. He's pictured in that. And after he came, they added an element to the Senate bill, adding anti-American sentiment as one of the things that they're going to go after among those of us. It's insane. It's straight out of the McCarthy era. I mean, if I wasn't living in it, I would not believe it if somebody told me. So that's a huge element. I mean, he's the first non-medical doctor to hold that position. He's completely unqualified to hold that position. We've all been screaming at the top of our lungs that he needs to be taken down. The Ethiopian government has asked the UN to investigate what he's been doing. There are audio leaks where the UN officials have said Tedros Adhanom, head of WHO, has been orchestrating humanitarian aid to go to these rebels, as opposed to letting it do what it's supposed to do, which is go to civilians in this war.
Underscoring that the regime change is not only an African issue, but rather a formula that all should fight. She called for all like-minded people to come together in this endeavor.
In other news, the Jimma University, the Association of Ethiopian Insurers, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, and the iCapital Institute are hosting the 5th edition of the East African Finance Summit here at the UNESA. The annual event is a platform for knowledge sharing and critical voice, where more than 300 finance stakeholders are taking part. Our staff reporter Santayo Tamrat is joining us live to shed more light on this issue. Our staff reporter Sintayo Tamras once again is going to join us live to shed more light on the issue. Good morning, Sintayo, and tell us what you have observed about the event.
Thank you for joining me here at the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa is being held the 5th East African Finance Summit at the UN Conference Center here in Addis Ababa, with the theme of reshaping the future of finance sector in the age of disruption. And just to give more on this, I'm just here joined with the guest, and my guest is Dr. Gamechu Waktola, CEO of iCapital Africa Institute. And thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Can you just tell me what this event is all about?
This event is actually the 5th one, and it's about, like you said, is hosted with the thematic area of reshaping the future of finance sector in the age of disruption. So it's about preparing the finance sector for the changes that are already happening and the changes that are coming ahead, because it's not going to get any easier in the future. So there are many different topics that are selected for discussion today. For the whole day. In the morning there is a plenary session that's happening. In the afternoon we're going to have separate for insurance and for the banking sector separately on different topics to happen. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think are the challenges currently the Ethiopian finance sector is facing?
Well, there are multiple challenges which you cannot list and finish right now, but mainly it's the competitiveness. Is our finance sector competitive enough to have, to play in the market if it is opened? That's one key question so many leaders that are asking currently. If it is opened, then can they be competitive enough? Are they reaching out to a large group of people that are not yet have access to finance? And inclusion is also another issue. And the other thing is the finance sector has concerns in terms of regulatory space. There are complaints in some areas. In other areas, they have also internal limitations that is limiting their competitiveness, particularly if you can look at technology utilization, you can look at customer services. Are they customer centric enough? You can look at talent capability, you can look at leadership, you can look into multiple dynamism in terms of multiple dimension of this. You can look at if they are innovative enough to bring in different kind of products and services that customers need. Are they providing to the level of customer expectations? These are all the challenges. Some of them are limitations, in fact. Some of them are the challenges because they believe the playing field and the regulatory space is not supportive and enabling enough. And also private sector particularly believes there is no equal playing ground for public and the private players in the finance sector. So generally there are issues. Some of them are due to their own limitations of the banks and insurances. Some of them are because, the ecosystem itself. Yes.
So the government is just to be one of the challenges that is, just the government system, the bureaucracy system of Ethiopian finance sector is also recalled by some people as a major challenge. What is your reflection on this?
Yeah, I think I don't really want to point finger to one direction of the problem because the problems, the challenges are shared equally, because the government providing enough enabling support for the finance sector? That's one question we need to answer. But we should admit and acknowledge that it is already in the homegrown economic reform agenda, and it's in the 10-year perspective plan that finance sector is identified as a key enabling sector for the transformation journey that the country is making. And also the challenges are also recognized, including that we don't currently have supportive kind of policy space and regulatory space, which needs to be fixed gradually one after the other. That's already acknowledged, but the key issue is the finance sector is saying, when is it going to happen? The time is now, because we're running out of time if it is not happening right now, because if the others come from outside without these guys being prepared, they are afraid that this might be at their disadvantage. But the other side of the story is, are they ready? I mean, are they preparing for that? Are they being innovative? Are they providing different variety of products and services to customers? Are they expanding? There is a huge gap in terms of access to finance. More than 60% does not have access, according to some figures. And the very tricky element here is, we say in this, if you talk to the finance sector people, they would say it's a very competitive, it's very challenging, it's it's difficult. But at the same time, if you talk about banks and insurances that are going to join Ethiopia, are eager to join, they say, wow, this market is ripe, not yet, covered. So there is a lot of opportunity here. So sometimes it's also about mindset and leadership. So the problem is, the challenge is, multifaceted. That needs to be addressed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gamachu.
You're welcome. I appreciate it.
Well, on the keynote addresses so far, before the actual paper discussion is, there have been just a lot of issues, like the Ethiopian finance sector has been just much affected by issues like the global COVID-19 pandemic, the instabilities, but the political instabilities, civil instabilities in different parts of the country, and also the displacement is following this. And the Ethiopian Finance Minister Ahmed Shide said that the Ethiopian government is really committed to work with all the private sectors, so that he can just alleviate the problems of the government can alleviate the problems of the finance sector, the private finance sector. He also mentions the Ethiopian government's macroeconomic plans. For instance, the government is working for creating a number of jobs, significant number of jobs to alleviate unemployment. The government is also to significantly open up the private sector for external markets, as well as the private sector here. And I will just bring you the updates in our evening news hour.
Thank you, Santaya, for the report. In other news, the BBC and the TPLF are said to be the West godfather of fake news and Ethiopia's godfather of fake narrative, respectively, according to Mesfin Arega, a pro-Ethiopian blogger. Mesfin article exposing the machination of the West came following the BBC's framing of the Gondar University over its recent finding of mass graves in the Walqait area. Mesfin indicated that the BBC is tarnishing the image of the Amhara militias and Fano bravery deeds in favor of TPLF. Shagoy Matao tells us more.
BBC reads us, on the morning of 10 April, the Amhara militias dug up the 4 mass graves in the St. Abun Aragai Church, according to Borkanna, written by Mesfin Arega. According to the BBC, Amhara militia and Fano are so humane, so compassionate that after ethnically massacring Tigres, they didn't dump their corpses in a ditch or left them for hyenas as ethnic massacrers normally do, but buried them. The bodies were buried in the compound of a church named after the most revered patron saint of Tigraeans, Abun Aragawi. The BBC is lying through its teeth, according to Mesfin, and its so-called witnesses are nothing but covers for its purely fabricated story. The surprise is the complete frankness of the BBC about its complete collaboration with TPLF, Ethiopia's godfather of fake narration. According to the BBC and the TPLF, Walqait is not an Amhara region. It is not even a region disputed by Amharas and Tigres, but an indisputable Tigray region occupied by security forces from neighboring Amhara region. Such malicious propaganda is an attempt to discredit the most, if not the only respected university in Ethiopia, only because it is located in the Amhara region. The BBC went all the way to Germany to quote a Tigray chemical engineering doctor, a certain Gavrekidan Gavreselassie, without even bothering to give semblance of impartiality. The BBC claims Gondar University has not responded to its request for comment. The Gondar University actually did, demanding an explanation for the defamation. However, if the BBC is not lying and has actually made the request, is not a genuine request to hear the university side of the story, but a request for request's sake, maybe a quick phone call followed by a quick hang-up. Gondar University has a clear-cut, easily winnable cause for a $1 billion defamation lawsuit against the BBC, says the writer. Ever since the victory of Adwa in 1896, the West has forever been trying to weaken Ethiopia from within by flaming anti-Amhara tribalism, solely because the Amharas are by far the largest, if not the most ardent adherents of Ethiopian nationalism, according to the writer. In particular, since the start of the Ukraine conflict, the West has intensified its age-old campaign against Amhara and what it perceives to be Amhara organizations and institutions, for the additional reason that Amharas are known to be sympathetic to, if not outright supporters of Russia's cause. Just as NATO battered Serbia under the pretext of Kosovo, it is now itching to bomb the hell out of Amhara under the pretext of Volkite. BBC, CNN, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch and their fake news and fake narration cohorts are doing nothing but preparing the ground for that eventuality.
The viewers, you're watching at this news hour. In other news, a renowned artist and Ethiopian promoter Miki Tsaggaye has called upon Ethiopians to more aggressively promote the nation to the rest of the world. Talking to TV, Tsaggaye further said Ethiopians need to appreciate and be proud of their remarkable tourist destination. Over a candid interview, she reflected on the status of the music and movie industries in the nation. Let's take a look at.
In an exclusive interview with ETV English, renowned artist and Ethiopian promoter Miki Tsaggaye says Ethiopians should intensify efforts to promote their tourism industry to the rest of the world to help others to know the country better. Tsaggaye asserted that the tourism industry is crucial to boosting the nation's economy in many aspects.
For us to promote tourism, if we can channel those tourists to show them this amazing land that we have here with amazing authentic culture, real history, I know is going to promote our country, at the same time gives the tourists a pleasure and education. So I'm still working hard towards that, and my future goal is to open that channel properly, and hopefully, you know, the tourism minister or whoever is in charge in this country will pay attention to what I'm trying to promote and help my country.
She called on the business community in Ethiopia and pertinent government officials to exert efforts on ways of enhancing collaboration in the development of tourism. She underscored that from this huge tourism potential, Ethiopia ought to benefit a lot.
Staying here at the Hilton that came from the US, from UK, they are absolutely excited about the experience they had. And I just had a talk with them, and they said they can't wait to come back. They literally said, we don't want to go back. And they actually said they were going to promote Ethiopia like there's no tomorrow. And they were blasting their Facebook and Instagram and all that. And their friends were like, wow, you know, sign me up. You know, they didn't know. So we need a good representation. And I will work hard for that to happen. Because, I mean, we have so much to give the country, and the true story about our country and how proud we are to represent it. So we need a team to channel those 1.5 million people so we can benefit, and our country can benefit from this.
Furthermore, as a film promoter, she underscored that the Ethiopian film and music industries have to be promoted to entertain audience and generate income for the country. As it now stands, both of these industries are only hanging by their threads, and movie industry in particular seeming to be at its lowest ever. Tsaggaye urged actors in these industries to add values by way of bringing revival.
When we talk about the movie industry, honestly, we should have been there already, and we're not. With this amazing wealth that we have, an amazing history that we have, and a lot of subjects that we can turn into a movie, I think we're a little weak there. So we need to get going and get awarded like Indians are doing, like Italians are doing. So I think, and at the same time, I'm not going to put it down because we have come a long way. The movie industry, the music industry, we've come a long way. And I appreciate that. I mean, the difference between 9 years ago when I was here and now is unbelievable.
It is to be recalled that Ethiopia, in both the homegrown economic reform agenda and the 10-year development plan, has identified the tourism industry as one of the next drivers of the national economy.
Well, viewers, next up is our business segment. Let's take a look. Next generation 5G network can provide data speeds at least 20 times faster than 4G. State-owned operator Ethio Telecom launched a 5G mobile phone service on Monday in a key step ahead of competition from new entrants in an industry that has been closed for international players. Representatives of some private companies said the commencement of 5G mobile phone network is critical to do more business by providing quality goods and services. Take a look at the phoning.
The
Ethio Telecom has launched a 5G mobile phone service in some parts of Addis Ababa, aiming to provide quality mobile phone network services. Talking to TV, representatives of private companies said the commencement of 5G mobile network is critical to provide quality service.
The 5G network will improve our efficiencies and our profitability at the end, because we all are there to be profitable as a business company. So it will boost our capacity through efficiency. So it will help our companies and our employees to use their devices easily with fast networks.
5G will be very supportive for our system because connecting the driver with the passenger was a little bit delayed. Like when they open the application, there is some latency when they try to open the application. That's because the internet connectivity, 3G, 4G LTE, they have high latency than 5G. 5G is a very fast technology, so it can support our service to connect the driver with the passenger easily. So it's going to be very helpful for our sector, for fintech, for health, for different sectors who's using technology.
Ethio Telecom, which is a pioneer telecom service provider in Africa, is facing competition from a subsidiary of Kenya, Safaricom, which unveils its first data center in Addis Ababa in April ahead of its anticipated launch in the Horn of Africa. Ethio Telecom, which is a pioneer telecom service provider in Africa, is facing competition from a subsidiary of Kenya, Safaricom, which unveiled its first data center in Addis Ababa in April ahead of its anticipated launch in the Horn of Africa. Information obtained from Ethio Telecom is showing it has 64 million national subscribers across the nation, and it recorded a 6.7% rise revenue into over £550 million in its half year of December 31st, 2022. Ayo Malaku, who is wireless network engineer at Ethio Telecom, for his part said providing 5G mobile phone service is vital to all firms to increase their productivity.
5G comes with the huge capacity, low latency and high speed. That means we use the high bandwidth that never used before. This is the unique for the 5G. That means the latency is around less than 1 millisecond, and the speed is from 1 gigabyte per second up to 10 gigabyte per second. It's very fast, and when you compare from the previous 4G, the 4G the speed is 30 times the previous one, and this is a great success for the global operators in 5G. In everyone's life, not only this, in drone operation, in satellite operation, in security, in harvesting the rural area, harvesting the cross and everything.
In March 2022, the government of Ethiopia said it has postponed the planned partial privatization because of the prevailing economic environment domestically and globally.
Dear viewers, you've been watching at this news hour with me, Binyam Bitana. Thank you for joining us. Have a lovely time.